Clearly, your Lordships will want me to be brief, bearing in mind the time. So I'm very grateful for the support that I've received from the Baroness, my noble friends, Lady Harding and Lady Fraser, and also from the noble Baronesses, Lady Kidron and Bull, for the amendments that I've tabled, and I'm particularly grateful to the noble Baroness Lady Bull for the additional detail she added to my description of the amendments. I can always rely on the noble Baroness to colour in my rather broad brush approach to these sorts of things. And I'm pleased that the noble Lord Stevenson did make his remarks at the beginning of the debate, because I do think that was very helpful in setting out the context that followed. And clearly what we have heard is a basic theme that's come through from your Lordships of a lack of sort of certainty that the government has struck the right balance between privacy protection and freedom of expression. And I never stop learning in your Lordship's house, and I was very pleased to learn from the new Milton, otherwise my noble friend Lord Moylan, that freedom of expression actually is a fundamental right, and therefore the balance between that and the other things in this bill is something that does need to be considered in a way I hadn't thought of before. But I think what is clear, as I say, is a lack of confidence from all noble lords, irrespective of what direction they are coming from in their contributions to this debate and earlier debates this evening, that either the balance has been properly struck, or that some of the clauses that seek to address freedom of speech in this bill are doing so in a way which gives the will deliver the outcome and the sort of overall purpose of this legislation as brought forward by the government. I would just say a couple of other points, really, that back to my noble friend Lord Moylan and his amendments about the power of Ofcom in this context, which I thought were particularly interesting. And I have some sympathy very much for what he was arguing. And as I said earlier, the question of power and whether the distribution of it between the various parties involved in this new regime is one we will look at in broad terms, certainly in later groups. And as to the amendments put forward by the noble Lord Stevenson around those clauses 13, 14 and so on, and the protections and provisions for news media, I tend towards the position of my noble friend Lord Black against what the noble Lord Stevenson has argued. Because, as I said at the beginning, I'm concerned about censorship by the tech firms of our own news organisations. But I also see his argument, and that of the noble Viscount Lord Colville, that it isn't just our traditional legacy media now that is providing quality journalism, and I do think that is an important issue for us to address. But I think what I would say to my noble friend the Minister, and I'm grateful for his roundup and his concluding remarks, that whilst it is heartening to hear that he and the Bill team will consider the noble and learned Lord Hope's amendment from this group, I do think that what we are looking for in the various different debates we've had over the course of today, for sure, is a little bit more responsiveness and willingness to consider movement by the government on various different matters. And I hope that he is able to give us signs of this that are a bit more encouraging as we proceed through committee and before we get to sort of further discussions, I hope, with him outside of the chamber and before we get to report. But with that, I will, of course, withdraw my amendments.
Yeah. Your Lordship's pleasure that this amendment be withdrawn.